Do you know that one of the earliest recorded bridge collapses in the world occurred due to war? Yes, the first recorded bridge failing was in 1927 in Scotland. The Stirling Bridge was a stone bridge that collapsed under the weight of attackers storming Scotland. Funny how, combined with structural defects, too much weight on a bridge still causes bridges to collapse in the 21st century. Today we will be looking at 5 bridges that suddenly collapsed and why they collapsed. Number 1. Skagit River Bridge. The Skagit River Bridge is between Mount Vernon and Burlington, Washington State. It is a part of I-5, the primary highway between the metropolitan areas of Seattle and Vancouver, British Columbia. The state government commissioned the bridge's construction in 1955 as part of an effort to improve the U.S. Route 99 corridor, a full year before the construction of the interstate highway system was to begin. Before its collapse, the bridge had 4 traffic lanes, 2 in each way, split by a median barrier. A section of the bridge collapsed on the 23rd of May, 2013 at approximately 7:00 p.m. PDT. The reason for the catastrophic failure was revealed to be an oversized weight striking several of the bridge's overhead support beams, causing the northernmost span to fall immediately. Only the northernmost span collapsed into the river. The adjacent span had impact damage from the same vehicle, but it was not severe enough to cause a collapse. The bridge had been deemed safe not long before the catastrophe. Although it was not physically faulty, it was deemed functionally obsolete, which meant it did not meet modern design standards. The bridge's design was fracture critical, which means it lacked redundant structural components to maintain its structural integrity if one of its support members failed. The Washington State Patrol and the National Transportation Safety Board investigated the collision. According to the NTSB report, the incident occurred because the tall load truck was in the improper outer lane and was pushed further into the shoulder by the passing truck. It blames the bridge collapse on a collision that destroyed many sway braces, destabilizing the critical load-bearing upper cord sections. Before the collapse, roughly 71,000 vehicles per day traversed the bridge. Governor Jay Inslee announced an economic state of emergency for 3 adjacent counties to deal with traffic and economic disruption. The fallen span was temporarily replaced with a pair of Acro 2-lane bridges that were rolled onto the original bridge piers. On the 19th of June, the same year, it went into service. Number 2. Yangmingtan Bridge. Here is an example of how a lot of weight on a bridge can result in its collapse. Over 30 bridge accidents have happened in China in recent years, but only a few have been recorded, and most accident investigation files are not available to the public. The Yangmingtan Bridge is a suspension bridge that spans the Songhua River in Harbin, China, reaching 250 meters, 820 feet. On the 24th of August 2012, the Yangmingtan Bridge collapsed in Harbin City, killing 3 people and injuring 5 more. The weight of vehicles crossing the bridge appears to have caused problems. The bridge was meant to support 55 tons, but the combined weight of at least 500 tons of big trucks caused it to collapse. The collapse was attributed mostly to the construction design and the project's hasty completion, as well as traffic controllers allowing trucks of excessive weight onto the bridge. Number 3. Sunshine Skyway Bridge. This is a typical example of a bridge collapse resulting from an accident. The first Sunshine Skyway Bridge was opened on the 6th of September, 1954, and its opening ceremony was no small event, as it opened as the longest continuous bridge in the United States and one of the longest bridges in the world. A second 2-lane span was added in 1969 to reduce the weight of traffic on the first and improve the bridge standards to meet interstate highway standards. Then, on the 9th of May 1980, disaster struck. An accident that would sink a bridge took place. At exactly 7:38 a.m. that day, a freighter, the MV Summit Venture, collided with the support column during a sudden squall, causing over 1,200 feet of the bridge to collapse and sink into the bay. 3 vehicles, 1 pickup truck, and a Greyhound bus carrying 22 passengers sped past and crashed off the ragged end of the freeway. The disaster claimed the lives of 35 people, with only 1 survivor, the driver of the pickup truck. A state grand jury and a Coast Guard investigation found that the ship's captain at the time of the accident, John Lero, did nothing wrong. A microburst with sudden torrential rains and winds of 110 kilometers per hour had slammed the inbound cargo just as it was moving into the small channel beneath the bridge, reducing visibility to near zero and briefly rendering the ship's radar useless. When Lero discovered the freighter was out of the channel, he threw the ship's engines into full reverse and ordered an emergency anchor drop. But the forward momentum of the 20,000-ton ship, combined with high winds from behind, slammed the bow into support beams to the right of the shipping lane, which led to the bridge's collapse. Number 4. KutaiKartanegara Bridge. Also known as the Mahakam II Bridge, the KutaiKartanegara Bridge is an Indonesian arch bridge that was built in 2001, taking about 6 years to complete. However, by 2011, the bridge collapsed barely 10 years after its construction. Unlike the collapse of many of the other bridges on today's video, the collapse of the KutaiKartanegara actually occurred when the bridge was undergoing maintenance. The cause of the collapse was as a result of the snapping of a support cable. Because of this, the bridge suffered structural failure, leading to the bridge's roadway falling into the Mahakam River. The towers were left standing alongside some other support cables. About 20 people died, 40 injured, and 19 reported missing. Fast forward to 2 years later, a replacement bridge was constructed with a significant change to its design. This time, the bridge was constructed as an arch bridge rather than a suspension bridge. Number 5. Cheetahara Bridge. Similar to the collapse of the KutaiKartanegara Bridge, the Cheetahara Bridge collapse happened while the bridge was still under construction. For those of you who might be wondering, the Cheetahara Bridge would later go on to be rebuilt and become the tallest bridge in Colombia, standing at a height of 492 feet. The accident occurred on the 15th of January, 2018, and the lives of 10 workers were lost and many others were injured. Contrary to many reports, the collapse of the bridge wasn't as a result of poor quality of materials. Instead, it was due to a design error largely on parts of the engineers. This costly design error led to the collapse of the western tower of the bridge, while the other tower remained standing. When investigations were carried out, the problem was traced to the overall weakness of the western tower. The fact remains that bridge collapsing is not a common experience, so you don't have to be nervous when next time you go over a bridge. If you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up would be appreciated. To watch more videos like this, subscribe to our channel. Bye for now.